All right. So the Gaunt Marches is a shared world, and we'll be just establishing a few facts about it. Uh, because it is a shared world, some of it's already known. Uh, Goatbridge is sort of the central town or large village of the setting. A lot has happened there in the past few months. It's been a fairly busy town. But if you're a teenager, it's probably still incredibly boring because it's your hometown. Uh, and a lot that's busy or happening in and around Goatbridge is only seems to serve to remind you that the larger world is even more interesting than your hometown. As you begin to think about growing up, moving on, whether it's to head out into one of the wilderness areas around town or head the several weeks trip north up to an area called Alameen or down to the big city of Eelton, just several days travel to the south. Oh, sorry. That was me tapping the table, which had my keys on it. As you head down to those places several days away, you'll be leaving Goatbridge behind, and it seems like it's a good time to sort of like sit back and have one last hurrah with your friends. Unfortunately, only a couple of weeks ago, a group of adventurers, for reasons that have never been fully explained, burned down the inn, as they are wont to do. And leaving you to sort of find your own entertainment. Which of your characters do you think it was who first thought of the old house that's about a day's travel out to the swamp? The old Corin Manor, as it's sometimes called.
But maybe Worthington, just because he's,
he travels
always, out in the swamps or any other part of the land. So,
right. Okay. So Worthington has proposed this trip out to the old Corin Manor. And I think, should you travel the right ways at the right pace, the swamps are sort of to the east and northeast of town. There's more marshy areas to the south. It's a lovely humid area. I know people in Austin, Texas, or Lubbock just never deal with humidity. I'm lying. I know. But it's a lovely humid area, surrounded by marshes on one side, swamps on the other, and dense old growth forest to the north. So you barely even notice going into the swamp that it's gotten even more humid. As you head out of town, I'm assuming that Worthington, being the skilled scout, is sort of taking point and doing the scouting ahead kind of duties. Is that correct, or would somebody else want to take that on? And who's sort of with the group, making sure you're all pointing in the right direction, doing sort of the navigation?
Are those two different roles?
Yeah, those are actually two different roles, scouting and navigation. And again, we're going to use the Perilous Wilds move sheet, which is in your folder.
Wouldn't mind Nerthus being the maybe the scout, maybe not the navigator.
Okay.
Just because, or the navigator, whichever Worthington doesn't want. Whatever he feels more versus
Worthington, which one do you? I'm sorry.
So I'm fine either way. Like Worthington, maybe if he suggested it, going out to this place, maybe he's leading everyone and letting
Nerthus do the scouting ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
It almost, yeah, I think that works well.
So why don't we start with Nerthus? You're taking point and looking for anything out of the ordinary. I'd like you to roll with wisdom, or with your whiz bonus.
All right. I'm just going to use dice if that's all right.
That's fine.
All right. I get a 9.
A 9.
Actually, I get.
So do you have that move list open? Or the Gaunt Marches move sheet in the shared folder?
Yeah. So, and this is for the move.
Yeah. So you're going to scan down to travel moves, and there's a move called Scout Ahead.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
It's on the second page of travel moves.
Okay. Yeah. So I get one from the list below. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And just to paint the scene for you, you guys are kind of going through swamp, but it's a swamp with dense, sort of heavily grown, overgrown dunes, sort of all kind of peppered throughout it. Some of which are fairly substantially big.
Yeah. I think I'm most interested in making a discovery here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. Nerthus, you feel like you guys should be. It's getting late in the day, and it's getting mid-afternoon. You can tell the sun is on a downward trajectory. You're hoping you're not too far away. When you see a kind of far ahead of you, kind of climbing down a path on a dune, sort of that doesn't seem to connect to the one you're on. You're on kind of a sandy trail, sort of skirting the high points of the dune you're traversing, and a dune you can see, but there's water between you and that dune. You see somebody in kind of strangely antique clothes, with what looks like a lightweight cloak and hood of some sort, with a sack over their shoulder. And the sack is moving. And they stop and they shake the sack, and the sack stops moving, and they pull it back up over their shoulder, and kind of continue along their trail off towards some trees, some of that low pine scrub growing up over the dune. This area is called the Everslough because it's an evergreen, overgrown kind of pine brush area in the midst of a kind of a swampy, dune-covered marsh. And so it constantly smells of pine sap. And they start to sort of head between some trees, heading away from you. Are you going to try to call out to them, get over to where they are, spy on them for as long as you can? What's your approach here? They don't seem to notice you, and they're sort of heading off in the opposite direction.
I think Nerthus would kind of crouch and remain small and not necessarily engage or follow, but try to make contact back with the others in the group.
And this person's, the person seems to be heading towards literally the old village of Swineford. Swineford was an old settlement. In fact, it had old, it said they had some stone buildings that dated back to the old empires in some drained swamp. It was actually the closest other settlement to Goatbridge for centuries. And then a few months ago, for reasons no one understood or could explain, a fog sort of settled over the area between Goatbridge and Swineford, and when people next kind of traveled through, they found that Swineford had just been covered up by the swamp. And that seems to be the direction that this person is going. Not the direction you're headed, though. You are headed sort of more northeast than this person. Are you regrouping with your friends?
Yeah, I think I'm going to regroup with them. I don't
Okay.
I don't like the look of whatever was moving in that sack.
And then Worthington, I'm going to have you make a navigate roll. So you're going to roll with your intelligence bonus. If you're plotting the best course through a dangerous or unfamiliar land.
That is a full-on 4.
That is fantastic. Normally in Dungeon World, you'd mark XP. At the end of a funnel adventure, you just automatically become level 1 in whichever playbook you have. So there's no need to necessarily mark XP.
Yeah.
So, but I think Funnel World suggests that, like, you have like 5 experience and you become level 1. We're just gonna play it through the first adventure and see how and if you survive, you're level 1. So it's a full-on 4. And I think you all are traveling, and you're fairly certain you're headed in the right direction. But you should be there by now, Worthington. And you start to realize you're lost when you begin to hear the organ music. And it's not just that not knowing what else to do, you follow the organ music, but as soon as you hear the organ music, you recognize the area you're in, and you know how to get to the house, and it's the direction the music is coming from.
Yeah, I think, like I said, he's kind of mediocre in all his skills. I mean, so, he's probably been subtly like marking the trees and stuff, and
right.
He's noticed they've been going in circles, and he couldn't figure out why.
Right.
I was hearing music. That kind of makes him nervous, but he kind of like puts his hand up, stop everybody, and like, do you hear the music that's coming from the house?
What did the rest of you think of this?
Singh hears the music and wants to investigate. Wants to add new music, new songs to his repertoire.
Tolan is just thinking, finally.
Yeah, I think Heilig would be interested to help and help in Worthington's discovery of this thing, because kind of staying close because he doesn't have any other friends.
Oh, right.
Any specific, doesn't really know anybody else very well.
All right. All of you follow along. Give me 1 second. All of you follow along for a while towards the music. Is anybody hesitating, sneaking, doing anything other than just sort of walking towards the music?
I'd say Mirabelle is pretty hesitant. He's a realist. He knows better than to go following organ music into the swamp at night. And she's trying to talk Singh into, I don't know, maybe not going to find out what it is.
What's Singh's response?
Singh says, no worries, come on, let's go. It's an adventure. Tonight's the first day of the rest of our lives. They're planning on heading out from here till low. They're not going back.
Right.
He says, don't worry, I'll take care of you.
I think Tolan has probably been, this whole time kind of sticking around Emil and, kind of talking him up, oh, you're so brave to come out here,
Right.
Not like most nobles, and, probably kind of like jabs on, I see the way you're looking at Nervous. I saw the way you looked at her. Just kind of messing with him the whole time about that.
Emil, what's your response?
Well, that's sort of like a 1-2 punch for Emil. The first talking him up, he's gullible, and he just sort of soaks that up, and it puffs up his ego. Like, yeah, I am much more brave than anyone else in my family, and yeah. So he sort of, but then when you start poking him about, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name.
Nerthus?
Nerthus.
Yeah, Nerthus. I wanted to say nervous, but that's not right. Nerthus, he gets really embarrassed and angry and defensive, and is tries to explain, there's something up with her. There's something suspicious about her, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Don't tell her. Don't tell her.
Yeah, and I think Heilig is actually kind of trying to assess where the music might be coming from.
Okay.
Just because he doesn't want he doesn't want Worthington to go in and like just get ambushed or something. Seems a little too eager to go in.
The thing is, people are hesitating, moving towards the music, having discussions. Those of you who are nervous, what are you saying to your? I know that Mirabelle and Singh are having sort of a conversation the rest of you are hesitating or nervous. What are you saying to your companions, if anything?
Yeah, I guess I'll ask if you recognize this music, like who's playing it. Does it sound familiar to you?
Yeah, I mean, every time I've been around the house, there's always the music. Though never seen anyone coming or going. But don't worry about it too much. Probably doing a crappy job of trying to hide my nervousness, but trying to act like everything's fine. And I knew where we were going the whole time.
Right.
Halig's not really convinced, but he'll kind of step forward to where you let him, and I guess continue walking with you at the front, just because he wants to see it himself first, and he's curious now.
Right.
It's like he's doing this like motion with, because he's got missing teeth. He's doing this motion where his like mouth is open and his tongue is like sticking through his missing teeth.
Yeah.
His curiosity is piqued, but he's not so smart.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Worthington, one thing you've never seen before, or maybe you have, maybe you have. One thing that's definitely unusual, and maybe it's just that you're seeing this in the middle, as it's getting to get dark, and it seems to be getting dark early. And I think all of you are noticing that the wind is sort of picking up. The air is not getting any less humid or any cooler, but the wind is picking up, and clouds are sort of gathering in the sky. And it seems more distinct because it's getting late in the day. Clouds are blocking out what little bit of sun is left. It's prematurely dark, and it's got that sort of cloudy day sunset feel where everything just looks stark and extreme. Worthing, do you notice there's a light on in what has to be the old groundkeeper's cottage? Just to kind of paint the picture for you, you're still on sort of these big sandbar dune sort of structures, but this one has been flattened, it looks like, and there is a house sort of right in the middle of it, kind of in the middle of the pine brush. It's not got the. It's a stone house. It's 2 stories. The first story is very big. The second story is smaller and sort of set up there. And there's definitely room for what looks like a 3rd story or an attic or something. But you've not sort of been in there or seen what's up there yet. About a few hundred feet from the door of the house, with everything sort of covered in pine brush, you see an old stone shack or hut of some sort. It looks like a groundkeeper's stone cottage or something like that. And there's a dim light coming from inside it. And I think at least Emil and Halig, you both begin to feel drops of rain. At first, you're not really sure you felt them, but a few seconds later, you feel it again, and you're like, that's definitely a drop of rain.
So I think Worthington kind of stops again and kind of taps. How do you say his name? Halgit?
Halig?
Yeah, Halig. That's what his name is. Kind of taps Halig, and points out the groundkeeper's shack, and so I ain't never seen the light on in there before.
I mean, granted, you've also usually been here during the day, so.
Yeah. Think someone's in there?
I don't want to be the one to find out. It doesn't seem... But, what, I don't see any other way of politely finding out without trying the door. Seeing if anyone's home. He's I don't know. So is there any kind of porch leading up to this door? If you mentioned that.
Is
there a door?
It looks like the groundkeeper's cottage.
Okay.
Has a door, but it doesn't really. Okay. It has some windows that are curtained. So the light is kind of diffuse and coming around the edges.
We're not so close yet.
Yeah, there is a door, and it seems that it's just there's a slight step, kind of forged, just some laid stone in the sand.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to surprise whoever's in there. I'm just gonna mention that.
And it's a wooden door. And with the wind picking up, it's hard to make it out, but it looks like there's a little bit of smoke coming out of the chimney.
Definitely seems like someone's in there. But what do you think? Should we knock?
I mean, yeah. Why else did we come here? Let's just do it. Let's go. I'm gonna. Halig's gonna kind of walk up. Is anyone gonna? No one has to tail behind him if they don't want it, but he's gonna kind of head towards the door. It's closed, right? The door to the cottage.
Yeah, it's closed.
Okay.
You also might notice about now that the music coming from the house, you didn't hear it stop. You're just not hearing it anymore.
Great.
And between here and the cottage, there's a kind of a very worn, scraggly path, and whatever used to be the grounds of this house are overgrown with sort of pine brush.
So it's probably not very easy to move up through it.
Through the grounds themselves, there is a scraggly path, sort of
okay,
from the cottage to the door of the house.
Yeah, I think we're go with you.
Okay.
Gonna tell the others. Y'all wait here. Looks like someone might be in the groundskeeper's house. Yeah.
I'm getting. I think I'm the one that's lagging out here because everybody's frozen on my screen.
I could hear you just fine.
We're hearing you just fine, Tony. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My internet just crept out for a second. I think I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. What did you do? What did you end up doing, Josh? With
I said I was going to go with you, and I was kind of giving everyone else a heads up of, hey, we're going to go check this out. Looks like someone might be there. Y'all stay here. Your big group might freak them out or something.
Probably.
Now you're all feeling a little bit of rain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Emil was going to insist on coming with.
Worthington just kind of shrugs his shoulders at that, like, yeah.
So Emil and Worthington are approaching the cottage?
And Halleck.
And Halleck.
I'm guessing the others will huddle up. Yeah, Nerthus might start cursing because of the rain. Maybe in the general direction of seeing.
So just to clarify one thing, all of you have enough food for a day here, a day back, and 2 nights in the house. You know, you're probably only planning on 1 night in the house, but most of you knew to bring emergency food. So you're walking up. And Worthington, are you sort of taking point, or are you letting somebody else? Is Emil sort of darting ahead?
Halleck's okay with taking point too. I feel like if something's going to go wrong, he'll see it slightly before.
Okay.
Just because he's got high wisdom, but also his low intelligence would say, "I can go first. I got this.
Got this.
No apparent danger."
And that would bother Emil to no end. So there may be a little competition about who gets to step in front.
Okay. That's fair. I'm just proving myself that, yeah, to Worthington in a sense. Like,
Worthington is are you letting these two simultaneously knock at the door, or are you going to step in front yourself?
I don't think he would like get in the way of them knocking. Like he'll kind of stay back and keep his eyes out on whatever in case something happens. Might even keep his hand on his knife, but.
So Emil, this is a situation where somebody else might impress people before you do, Emil. And as much danger as Halleck is in socially, I feel like you as a noble are in a lot of social danger right now. I'd like you to just defy danger with charisma.
I got an 8.
An 8. Halleck, I think, is striding forward, unless Tony, you tell me otherwise. Halleck is striding forward and about to knock on the door. Are you going to jostle him aside?
Absolutely, yeah. And if my arguments all along the way haven't been convincing that I should go first, and he doesn't know anything about social graces, and if anyone's going to listen, if the groundskeeper is going to listen to anyone, it's going to be someone of high birth. If he's not paying attention to any of that, then I'm going to nudge him aside. Yeah, if I can.
Yeah, I like that.
And then as you're about to nudge him aside and put your fist forward, the door starts to open. Are you still gonna do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm in.
And Emil, you sort of gently, not forcefully, shoulder check Hallig and have your hand out. When the door, you saw the door starting to open, and the door opens, and there's a rather strikingly handsome older gentleman. I know that at the tender age of oh, come on,
16
browser work. Yeah, 16. Yes. At the tender age of 16, anyone over the age of 25 is an older gentleman. This may actually qualify as something that somebody older than you would call an older gentleman. But decidedly kind of strikingly handsome, well groomed, not wearing workers' clothes. I mean, certainly not wearing noble clothing, but almost like wearing the clothes of an esteemed servant. In a very comfortable fashion, the shirt's sort of unbuttoned and untucked. The boots are not spit polished or anything like that, but certainly like he was sitting down to dinner or something, sort of alone time. And close cropped gray hair and well polished nails, and this is the person who sort of appears in the doorway, and he's sort of like, with one sort of raise and lower the eye, sort of sizes you up, and just says, "You must be Lord Canner."
That I am, and thank you for opening your door to us.
Yes. You'll excuse me, there's not frequently visitors around here. He starts to sort of button up his shirt and sort of straighten his jacket just a little bit.
I think I'll say...
What can we,
go ahead.
What can we do for you?
When you're through composing yourself, you can escort me and my associates to your master. We've come to see the estate, and perhaps may spend the night.
Ah, yes. Well, her ladyship is not home, and I have some business to attend to here in the cottage. But I hope you will allow me to just give you the run of the place.
You would be so good.
The door is there. It will be raining soon. So certainly we are out here in the middle of nowhere. The doors are not locked. We don't fear bandits here. Bandits fear us. And you have how many companions?
There are 8 of us traveling together.
Yeah. The accommodations will be tight, but I will bring out extra pillows and blankets in the morning. You should have plenty for the evening. Feel free to light fires in any fireplaces you find. Light any candles you find. Make yourself completely at home.
Very good. Remind me of your name again?
You may call me Seuss.
Thank you, Seuss.
He extends his hand to shake it in a respectful sort of way.
Would it be beneath me to shake the hand of a servant?
He's extending in such a way that you would, you know, it would not be a, yeah,
Okay.
you can accept it without he's not like shaking it like an equal.
Okay, yeah, okay, and I know how to take that kind of handshake, so I will do so.
Right. So, sir, you're as charming as any Connor who's come to visit her ladyship's estate.
And I'll sort of say, I thank you.
Ah, yes. Well, the rain will come soon. You should go into the manor and make yourselves at home. And until she's back, of course, the run of the manor is yours.
We will take you at your word.
What time should I bring breakfast tomorrow?
I'll look to Worthington and where is it? Worthington? Yeah, Worthington and Alec. Yeah.
I think Worthington always gets up early, so probably says something absurd like 5 a.m. or.
Well, so 5 a.m. for, and he looks at you meaningfully, Emil, for your servants, associates,
My friends. And they should
you're
be treated as such.
Are you hunting?
In a manner of speaking.
Ah, well, it is good to have you with us, Lord Connor, and we look forward to your company. But the rain will begin soon. You should move forward into the destination that you've chosen.
So, where her ladyship be right now?
I'm certain it's beyond my. It's not my place to report her ladyship's business.
All right.
And neither Lady Cynthia nor Lord Soma tell me their comings and goings.
Who was that? You playing the music earlier? Or, I mean, I swear I heard some music coming from the house on our way here.
I'm certain I did not notice any music. But I have been
Say that
sleeping.
again?
I have been sleeping. It has been a miserable, humid, hot summer, and I was resting to recover from the heat. You know, it does things to the brain.
So who else would have been playing the music if it wasn't you?
Well, perhaps what you heard was the wind.
That must be it.
Or perhaps Lady Cynthia or her associate Lord Soma have returned home. And you will find them there waiting for you when you arrive. They are expecting you, correct, Lord Connor?
Of course.
Yeah.
Bother you no further, Zeus. You can come at 5 a.m. for my friends, and again at 11 for me.
Well, certainly, sir. You want your breakfast to be hot.
That's right.
It is definitely getting very dark and rainy now. Do you have light sources?
Would it say so on our character sheets?
It would list your default equipment in your
Right.
in your occupations.
I have belt pouch. I think no.
He looks at you and just like, did you not bring candles, torches, a lantern?
This is Zeus asking us.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid we are a bit short on light. Can you provide?
He hands you a candle, Emil,
Mm-hmm.
and then hands you several candles for acquaintances. You'll find what you need in the house, but I wouldn't want you stumbling about in the dark, getting lost in the pine brush. Never know what's been forgotten, buried under the brush. Unpleasant things, certainly. You might want to stick to the path.
I assume that the first candle he gave me is lit already, so I can.
Yes, it is already lit.
All right, cool.
He gave you enough. He gave you enough candles for each of you to have 2.
Oh, great. So, table talk here among players. Does anybody feel like they need to do something else with this guy, or are we moving back and heading to the house?
Yeah, I'm okay moving back.
Okay.
I'm grateful. I express my gratitude for the take the candles, and that's it. Because you're right. I don't know how to interact with these people.
Yeah, he nods to you within bows to Emil, and then closes the door. And you're heading up to the house.
Yeah,
I think we're all in agreement.
I think most of you have travel clothes. This is not like, even with the wind picking up and the rain starting, it is not cold. The wind and the rain have not broken the heat and humidity that you're feeling. But you do think that far off in the distance you've heard a thunderclap. It's very soft.
I think as we're joining the rest of the group, I probably kind of lean over to Halledge, however you say his name. I will never get that right, but kind of lean over to him and kind of whisper something ain't right. No wind's gonna make that kind of sound.
Yeah, and I didn't like the comment about nothing being buried underneath the pine needles. Like I'm actually gonna take out my hatchet and kind of use my candle to see if there's any pieces that look particularly easy to cleave out. Being a thatcher and all, I should be able to piece them out with my eyes. Is there a particular branch that looks large enough, but not so large that I wouldn't be able to cut it with minimal effort?
So you're sort of looking around as you go with your candlestick and your hatchet in the other hand, or are you just kind of relying on other people's candlelight?
No, yeah, I do want to have my own candle in one hand, and I'm kind of just looking on the path to the actual manor place. I want to see if there's anything off path that looks like I could easily clear out a branch just to see what the ground looks like below it.
Right. I'd like you to roll with wisdom, since you're sort of studying things.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're discerning reality. And just to be generous with that, kind of your expertise and what's your profession, Halleck?
Thatcher for Halleck. Yeah.
Thatcher. So let's go ahead and use that. Let's add that as a 1. Since you're sort of clearing out brush and looking underneath it.
I only get a 7.
7. So I think that's 1 question on discerning realities.
Right. Yeah.
Ask me that 1 question. Choose a question and ask me.
Okay. Let's say, what should I be on the lookout for? Or should I be looking out for? I said it in Dungeon World version.
Yeah, I never even noticed they changed the wording there. Well, first you should definitely look out for those branches that snap back.
Okay.
You almost hit a few of those. But what you really want to look out for is what the brush has grown up over, which is a graveyard. Entire front lawn of this manor was once a graveyard, and the brush has just grown up over it. You are looking underneath it. I think you snap off some branches and clear it away with your hatchet, and there's just sort of like rolled over flat gravestones. Just sort of like amidst the brush, and they've been knocked over. They're very old. You don't recognize the writing. Like it's in an alphabet you can't recognize.
I'm just gonna, I'll go grab Warrington by the arm and just be like, "Hey, check this out," just to like so someone else sees it. And I'm sure like maybe some of the others would notice I'm pointing it out, but for dramatic effect, I'm just grabbing Worthington by the arm.
And you should also be on the lookout for that you have candles, and it is starting to rain.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving.
What'd you find?
It's just... All right, I crouch over it for a second with my candle. Hopefully my candle doesn't go out, and just hold the candle near the stone so that it could perhaps reflect some of the light off of it, off of one of these gravestones. I'm like, I don't know. It looks like a gravestone. It looks like that guy wasn't kidding about something being hidden underneath here.
Well, I mean, ain't most rich people put their dead near their house? I mean, it makes sense, I suppose. We could ask little Lord Kaner about that. I'm sure he'd know a thing or two.
I'm kind of Lord Canner can. I'm grateful enough that we're being able to stay in this place. I'm not gonna pry into his family history. So I'm just gonna keep moving.
By the way, one of the things you guys do have on your equipment list that I forgot to mention is supplies. We talked about the food, but we all know why teenagers go out to cabins in the woods or to houses in the woods that they believe are abandoned. You are well supplied with alcohol. So at various points in the upcoming couple of weeks, I may ask you to tell me what you have on you stash wise. We may sort of explore that, but you've got to, each of you have at least 2 bottles of going away drinking supplies. Is anybody else stopping to look around on the way to the house?
And Tolan's just kind of like, ugh, can we just get inside? But yeah, as they're going, he's probably going to poke at Emil again about, look at that. The little Lord got us a place to stay for the night. Just in time, too.
Well, this is the house that you were headed towards, Worthington, that you thought had long been abandoned. So you're able to get to the front porch. There's no light coming from inside. And the big double front doors are closed. What do you do?
Unless somebody else wants to go first. I guess Worthington would, kind of slowly open the door, looking inside. He doesn't trust the groundskeeper that there's no one here, so he'll be
The house
careful.
is very, very dark.
And Worthington probably hasn't lit his candles because, he's used to going around at night, seeing in the dark.
And you have a few other people here who've got candles lit. Once you're on the porch is covered, and almost perfectly timed with arriving on the porch as the rain just turns into a downpour, kind of right behind you. And you think you hear more thunder way off in the distance and see a very, very faint flash.
Just to add to the mood, Nerthus is gonna kind of like make a scream moan under her breath, but like not like a projecting scream, kind of like a because she's
like
excited
just
yeah,
okay.
just like this is awesome, like not hurting Ox.
Not hurting Ox, going out, staying in old houses.
Yeah. And just having low charisma just freaks everybody out, like her being excited.
Nice.
It's kind of the intended effect is like, just like, why the fuck are you screaming?
Who else is anybody else besides Worthington gonna try to open this door?
Yeah, Sing's there. He's pushing up to the door. He wants to impress people with his strength, and he's gonna
just kind of shoulder it open.
Yeah.
Why don't you defy danger with strength, because the door seems stuck.
6 plus 2, I believe.
Yeah.
So 8.
If you pop this door open, it's going to make a lot of noise, or you can take a lot of time. Which do you want to do, Sing? You can sort of just kind of gently press on it till you kind of quietly get it fried from whatever sort of wedged together, wood soaked up too much humidity sort of wedge that it's kind of formed, or is it going to be you just sort of shoulder it open and loud sound echoes around?
Yeah, that's what Sing does. He's trying to impress. He just pushes it, and he doesn't care too much for how loud it is or if there's any damage done.
And Sing, does Sing have a candle in his hand?
I don't think he does.
Okay. All right. So you shoulder it. There's a very loud pop, Sing. It almost sounds like an old cannon going off in the distance, or a thunderclap in and of itself, or maybe a thunderclap just corresponded with it. But you're fairly certain that anybody in the immediate vicinity of this house heard you open this door. And you hear other things that are sort of sound like they're made of metal, sort of rattling in time with like you opening the door. And they're coming from like end tables and or maybe something was in the windowsill. It's kind of hard to say. There are 2 big front-facing windows on either side of the door. It's hard to see what's inside them because everything in the house is dark, but it sounds like something metal is sort of rattling. Who does have a candle with them, and where are you standing?
Tolan for sure has one.
Tolan and Emil? Anybody else?
Yeah. I think Tolan's just like, just leave it to the foreigner to go breaking someone's door.
Tolan, where are you standing?
Oh, he's probably just kind of loitering in the back of the group. Yeah.
And maybe Halleck would be up closer to the front. 'Cause I know he still had a candle going.
Okay.
And
I think Halleck's light seeing is what you're seeing most everything by at this point. The thin light from Halleck's handle. And as that comes in, you see that there's, at various points in the room, there are candelabras that you could theoretically carry. They seem to have candles in them, but they're not lit, of course. But there's one sitting at the base of a very grand marble staircase. There's a couple sitting at the base of a completely dry fountain. At the foot of this grand marble staircase, there's one in the left side window to the left of the door, and there's two on the right window to the right of the door. And you think you see more sort of scattered around the floor. There's also a very large chandelier, which you suspect will have candles in it, hanging from the ceiling over the fountain. None of this is lit, though. You're just kind of seeing all this in the thin light coming off of Halleck's candle. As the wind and rain continue to sort of pick up outside without ever providing any relief from the humidity or heat. There's clearly more house beyond the grand marble staircase to the back. But in the sides, you see what look like two doors to the right and two doors to the left, just in the light from the candles.
well, I think after this door, after Singh kind of opens the door, I feel like we could probably start lighting one of the chandeliers, if you don't mind me stepping through. Just
you mean one of the candelabras?
Candelabras, yeah, sorry. The chandelier would be all the way at the ceiling. Yeah, one of the candelabras on the wall.
Yeah, for the chandelier, you'd need to find some sort of taper and some way to get up
Sure.
a little closer to it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Just the ones on the walls near the windows, perhaps,
Cool.
to start, and just to give people more of a place to like enter in the entryway.
Yeah,
just to usher them in. Like, what are you guys waiting for?
As you begin to light those, you hear a very sort of soft music coming from somewhere far to the back of the house. It's not organ music like you heard in the forest. It's not designed to carry that far or be that or project that much. It's much more like a string music, like a dulcimer or like a lute or something.
Where LinkedIn just kind of quietly to Halleck, he's just kind of, see, I told you, there got to be someone in here. And the head of here is coming in.
And once you light that candelabra, Halleck, you can see this, you can see the front part of this kind of gallery downstairs, this sort of entryway. The fountain is very dry. The marble staircase is pretty dramatic and swooping. And there is in addition to the two doors to the right and the two doors to the left, there is definitely, underneath the shadows of that marble staircase, there are more rooms in the back of this floor. What do y'all do?
I think I'm getting my own character's name. I think Emil will, pass out candles to those that don't have them yet,
Right.
and light them so everybody has a source of light, and sort of issue the instruction that we should, light as many candles as we can, start a fire, find some food, make ourselves at home, and sort of let people go on and do that. He doesn't want to have to be troubled with the details of that. And Killian will take a candle and go in.
So I think, go ahead.
And just to be clear, these candelabras are sort of meant for carrying around. They provide a lot of light. They're good for they have a nice grip base, just like a candlestick. So you can definitely carry them around. And with 5 or 6 candles on each one, you're getting a good bit of light out of it. Who's taking what and going where?
I think Singh, if he's able, would light a candelabra and give one to Maribel.
Right. Okay.
So I think Tolan is kind of like, yawning, and he's like, "Well, you said they said to make ourselves at home. I think it's time we found ourselves a place to sleep. Yeah, maybe we should stick together in groups. Emil and Nerthus could share a room, and Maribel and Zing, and just kind of mess around, making pairings like that."
Yeah, Nerthus will grunt and just agree with that, even though you're joking, but she's not really understanding that you're joking. So
he's mostly doing it to get a rise out of Emil.
yeah, exactly. And she'll walk over to Tolan and be like, "You can share a room too," and just and Killian, and just the 4 of us can share a room. That's fine. She's just very matter of factly, but she has this cracked voice, we'll be the first team, and
there's plenty of rooms. To a room should be no need more than that. I mean, look at this place.
No offense. She looks at Emil and she's like, "But I don't trust you." I mean, hopefully you don't. Yeah, that's all she says. "I don't trust you." She just leaves it at that. Not staying in a room alone with him is what she's thinking.
Right.
So where are you all headed? The music seems to be coming back from under the stairs. Or not under the stairs, beyond the stairs.
I think that's the direction that Singh will head. Against wishes. Yeah, he wants to go find the music and maybe a dark room or an out-of-the-way place for them to mess around.
And are you taking Maribel with you?
Yeah, they're together.
Okay. So she has a candelabra.
Right.
I think Nerthus will just follow them, even though she's not picking up the social cues that you guys are probably looking for a place to mess around. I just kind of, I don't see her fitting in other places, so I'm just trying to tag along where I can.
Helen just kind of yawning again. Let's say you, Killian. Let's go find a comfy place, and maybe you can show me some of those tricks before we go to bed. Yeah.
And Killian says, "Sure." Sort of punches you on the shoulder a bit and says, "But we need to stay up a bit later than that, don't you think? Have some wine, start a fire, help ourselves to whatever's in the kitchen."
I like the way you're thinking there.
Where are you headed, Killian and and Worthington.
Well, I think Tolan and Killian are going to maybe try and find the kitchen or something.
Which way are you headed? So there's doors to there's an area sort of behind the stairs that Singh and Mirabelle and Nithis are all headed to. There's 2 doors on your left, and there's a big set of double doors on your right. I misdescribed those.
Right. I don't know that either of us would know.
And there's clearly stairs. You know, you can clearly go upstairs.
I'm guessing the kitchen's not upstairs.
Point out the double doors. Just like, rich people, their dining room, like probably a dining room or something right there. Kitchen's got to be close to the dining room, right?
That sounds exactly right.
So you're going for, and who else has not announced sort of where they're going?
I think Hallig will join them for food because it sounds delicious.
Okay.
And then I think Emil is tagging along behind Nithis, who is following Singh and Mirabelle.
Nice.
Worthington is probably going to go see if he can find the source of the music and try and be sneaky about it.
And who's doing that?
Worthington.
Okay.
So he's like the only one going off by himself.
So, and actually, because Singh is also headed towards the source of the music.
Oh, is that where he was then?
Yeah.
Oh, then I guess he's heading that way with them.
Yeah. So, one sec.
Sounds like we got 2 groups going.
Yeah. So, who's opening those double doors?
I think that, I mean, since Hallig is in that group, he would volunteer if no one else was going to. Because, again.
Poland's too lazy to do it.
Okay.
Couple big heavy wooden doors, he's not going to do it.
These are warped, much like the doors, the front doors. And they open outwards into the gallery. So are you just going to like pull forcefully on them, or are you going to try to what are you doing?
Yeah, I think Hallig would probably just pull on them. To test them out.
Why don't you defy danger with dexterity?
Okay. Only get a 4.
Oh wow. Or not dexterity with strength. That'd
be a 3.
Okay.
No.
You reach for the doors, Hallig, and you've heard that sort of soft, sort of dulcimer music coming from the back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to pull them, and they come forward about half an inch, and they seem to just catch on each other, and they're warped. And then the group who's standing in front of those doors, those double doors, you begin to hear very softly playing that organ music again. But the volume is slowly increasing. And who's in that group? Who's holding a candle or candelabra?
Like I said, Dolan's probably got a candle out.
Candle, okay.
Killian too.
Yeah. So between those two, you're noticing sort of a liquid coming from under the door. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's a candlelight. It's hard to see. And it's kind of, it's giving sort of a reddish tint to almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a liquid coming from under the door. And there's this soft organ music coming from within. And then Halig, the doors just sort of pop open in your hands, and you sort of stumble backwards after this delay.
Okay.
You end up on your butt, and the reason you end up on your butt is you slip in whatever liquid it is, and it seems a little too viscous to be water. And in the light of the candles, you start to see sort of the shape of the room on the other side, and the music stops. Now, the music from the direction that that you're headed in, Singh and company, continues to play. You don't really notice the increasing crescendoing organ music, but you could sort of go around the staircase. You notice is in the light of the candelabra, at the back of the staircase is a door. It's the kind of thing that is Emil with that group.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing, Emil, that you would be like, oh, that would go to the cellar. A lot of the rest of you have never been in a very large house, so. But Emil, you're like, oh, that would be the door that goes to the cellar.
I will say that out loud too. I think or Emil would sort of just announce to everybody all the things that they don't know, and he does.
And towards the back is under the staircase. There's kind of a narrow hallway. And there's a door that's ajar, from which the dulcimer music is coming. It's also a double door. And it's just sort of like they're sort of cocked against each other. And it's just sort of gently playing. It's got sort of a dance music-y feel to it, not of the, like, you know, boisterous dance music, but something sort of like courtly or stately. And the door is ajar. What do you do?
Singh, are you in the lead? Are you like up front?
I believe Singh and Mirabelle were up front. Is that correct, Brian?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Singh's forging on. Like he's gonna push forward. He's
And those doors open inward, so you're just gonna kind of put, you know, and they don't require any sort of roll or anything. Or you just gonna kind of throw the doors open?
Yeah, and Mirabelle's kind of trying to call him back, but at the same time, she's there holding the light over his shoulder so he can see. But that's what he's gonna do. Yeah, he's gonna open those doors.
Okay. In the light, at first you think there must be other lights in the room, and then you realize a second later that there are big sort of mirrors with sort of curtains around them along the walls to the left and right of the room. And there's what must be the back wall of the house has like dense curtains in front of it. And there's it's a wooden floored room, and there's a little dais in the towards the left center portion of the room where it looks like there was some music stands and some chairs. There's some papers on those music stands. And just in the thin light of the candelabra, you can't really see much else. And again, you open the door and the music stops. And I think both groups here, the wind pickup outside. I mean, you sort of left the big front doors of the gallery, the entryway open, and you hear the wind pick up outside, and then all of a sudden you hear sort of a scraping, and you hear the front doors just slam shut, sort of behind where you are now. And I think that's where we're going to end tonight. And I am going to stop the broadcast.